Let's get more on the snap elections. Selman Ogut is an associate law professor at Medipol University, joining me here in the studio. Selman, many thanks for speaking to us on TRT World.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Let's start with the obvious question. The government repeatedly rejected that they were going to move the scheduled date, November 2019. That's what they kept drumming down at us. Why this U-turn now?
The short answer is economic reasons, I think, because the last operation in Syria, which was launched by the leadership of the United States, unfortunately it was envisaged, perceived as if it was an operation against Turkey, Russia and Iran. And we see the repercussions on the economic stability. Actually, it was a big problem still for the Turkish economic system to see the dollar rates are going so high. But I think the stability can be worse when you add the security concern on that. And I think here in Turkey the perception is in that way. They think the security problems and economic reasons can be so bad for the election results. And because of this reason, it's so easy if you have a kind of fragile economic system and political security feature, you can decide for a snap election. It's so easy.
So is he hoping that by calling them early, the problems in the economy are not going to get worse, essentially?
Yeah, it can be. We don't know. We don't know. Maybe it can be worse than this. But right now, what I see when I talk with the people, the average standard people on the streets, at the cafes, they say, it's a good decision because the economy, it's just like a butterfly, it's so, how can I say, it's so fragile. So the people, the investors, the businessmen, they don't like to see a vague situation. I see it's ambiguous, it's a big problem for them.
Let's talk about some of the other factors at play here. We've heard today from the opposition party, the CHP party, who say that it's not possible to have a fair election when Turkey is under a state of emergency, which has just been extended again. They want this state of emergency lifted. Do you think that is a reasonable request, given the extra powers the state of emergency gives the ruling party? Is it possible to have a fair election under a state of emergency?
If it would be like this, if opposition parties' claim would be right, would be true, the last election, actually the results of the referendum wouldn't be like this, because the No campaign was launched with the leadership of CHP, and we saw the result is not so satisfying for AK Party. And it was the first time for CHP to get this kind of very high rates of votes under the state of emergency situation. So I don't think that this is a kind of disadvantageous way or a platform for opposition parties, because it is not martial law system, because in that system the army itself got to control, but for this system the government got to control. And President Erdogan said that this wasn't claimed against the people of Turkey. This state of emergency was proclaimed against the organs of the state, because the terrorist group FETÖ just penetrated into the organs of the state.
What about the opposition? How ready are they for this election? Talk us through some of the main players. We've got the CHP party, of course, which is widely known, but there's the new Nationalist IYI party. Tell us a bit about them and what competition they hold.
Actually, there are four main opposition parties. CHP, as you said, İYİ Party, Good Party, Saadet Partisi, and the other one, HDP, People's Democratic Party. So for those parties, it is so hard to find a common candidate, because between Saadet Partisi and CHP, there was a big rift, ideological rift. And we know that most of the votes of CHP, they are against the ideology of Saadet Partisi. And it's the same. It's the same thing when we think about the vice versa case. So for İYİ Party, Good Party, which was just separated from MHP, which is a nationalist party, and the ideologies are nationalists. also the ideology is against HDP, and they call HDP when they were member of MHP as the speakers of the PKK, the terrorist group. So I think for the grassroots of those four parties, it's so hard to find a common candidate. But just they have one common point: they don't want Erdogan as a next president for Turkey. And I think there are some candidates, but a common candidate, it's so hard for those four parties.
Briefly, because we're out of time, critics of the new presidential system of government, which will come into play once these elections conclude, basically describe it as a blueprint for one-man rule. Even if that one man has the best interests of the country at heart, history has shown it's dangerous to put too much power in the hands of one man. Don't you agree with that?
No, I don't agree with that, because I also teach constitutional law at the university, and it is what they say about the system is totally wrong, because it's not one-man show. This is just one-man government, just like in United States and France. And it is not a bad thing to see the same parties ruling the government, because in Japan, when you take a look at the history of Japan, just one party got control for the last 50 years. I think it is so important to see the checks and balances in the system, and we have, for this new system, we have the checks and balances. If it wouldn't be in that way, the people would not vote for this new system. But the advantage of this system is the getting rid of the coalition talks, because in the political history of Turkey, till 2002, when AK Party got the government, the coalition talks always damaged, always gave harms to the economic stability and the security in Turkey.
Many thanks for speaking to us. Selman Ogut, Associate Law Professor at Medipol University.
Thank you very much.